All right. So the last thing we need to talk about is credit cards and how those payments are going to be calculated. So the first thing you got to look at before we even get down to business, excuse me, is how to find an average. But there's a shorter way of doing things. So if we look at example 6 together real quick, okay? If we have to find the average of this list of numbers, you could do it the long way, which is to just add every single number that you see together. Okay. I don't know why that extra 12 is there. That shouldn't be there. Oh, that probably means divided by. That's probably what it's supposed to be. Over 12, because there are 12 numbers here. Okay, the shortcut, which I think you guys are going to want to make use of, especially when you're doing the credit card problems, is to just take however many 2s there are, however many 3s there are, however many 4s there are, multiply those together and add, and then divide by 12. Okay? So does that kind of make sense? Long way of finding average, shortcut to find the average. If there's a lot of repeated values, you don't have to like add them all up by hand. You can just multiply the number that there are. Okay? So let's look at example 7 now. When you guys are going to calculate the payment that's due, okay, we use something called the average daily balance method. And so what you're going to end up doing is figuring out what the average daily balance is on the credit card. So for example, if we look at this first problem here, we have a previous balance of $8,240. Then there's a payment on January 7th for $350. So this balance goes down. But now we use the credit card at Best Buy, we use it at Applebee's, at Kohl's, and then we have a new bill. Okay? So does it make sense that your balance changes from day to day depending on when you use it and how much you use it for? Okay? Your balance does not stay $8,240 unless you do nothing. Right? If you don't use it at all and you don't make any payments, then that's the way it's going to stay. All right? So looking at the next page. Here's how we're going to fill things out and find what we need to find. So on January 1st, what is the starting balance for this credit card? 8,240. Very good. And now, you know what? Let's find all this stuff out first. So next, on January 7th, what did we do? We spent $350. Payment. So we paid $350. So that's going to reduce the balance. And so now what is that new balance going to be? $78.90. Okay? On January 15th, I know it's on the previous page, but what are we doing? You're spending money at Best Buy. How much? So 1405 gets added in. Yeah, maybe this is a laptop or a nice new TV. What's the new price or the new balance? 9295. Okay. On January 17th, another charge. 9295, and what did we do? We spent $45.20. So what's the new balance now? $93.40 with 20 cents. On January 30th, another charge. Now, you don't have to write out the table this way. I mean, obviously, you can just have like 82.40, 78.90. I mean, as long as you know what we're doing. So this is 93.40.20 plus the 180 bucks with 72 cents. And so now what's the new balance? $95.20.92. Okay. And so now here's what we need to determine. Okay? We need to figure out how many days throughout the entire month the balance was 82.40, and then how many days was it 78.90, and so on and so forth. Okay? Because that's going to help us find the average daily balance. We're not just going to add these 5 numbers up and then divide by 5, because some of these have more weight than others. Does that make sense? Like if for 30 days of my billing cycle, my balance is $8,000, and then on the 31st, I buy something else, most of the average is going to be closer to 8,000 than the other number. Does that make sense? All right. So, how many days did my balance remain 82.40? How many days did my balance remain 78.90? 8. How many days did the balance stay 92.95? And how many days did it stay 93.40.20? How much? 13. And now how many days did it stay 95.20.92? Keeping in mind, I think they said in the problem that all the way to the 31st. We're going all the way to the 31st. So it's going to stay that way 2 days. On the 30th, it'll be 95.20.92, and also on the 31st, it'll be 95.20.92. Does that make sense? Bless you. All right, so now let's go ahead and find the average. Let's see if you guys are paying attention. Find the average of all these numbers. The short way. And I guess not. You can do it the long way. Divided by. Mm-hmm.
I have the answer.
What is it?
1,476.2.
No.
8,496.
No. See, you guys, this is not hard.
6.2.
No, 6.2.
I'll do 6.2.
Okay, this is how I know that for the first 5 minutes while I was talking, only like one person was paying attention. Okay? We have to do better. We show up, as soon as we start, is the bottom line. You guys can chit-chat in between classes or after if we're done early. Okay? If you don't know, reread example 6. We're trying to find the average. You can do it the long way. You could certainly take 8240 plus 8240 plus 8240 plus 8240 plus 8240 plus 8240. I think that was only 5. Plus 8240. And then plus 7890, 7890, 7890, 7, and so on. And then divide by 31. That's the long way to do it, though. Right? What's the shortcut? You take the balance and multiply it by however many days it stayed that way. which is what I said at the beginning of class, but no one was paying attention.
I wasn't thinking about it. We'll be working, so.
You guys do a really great job for like the middle 25 minutes of class. But the first 5 or 10 minutes, not very good. And certainly the last 5 minutes of class, not very good either. So we need to do better. Does anyone have the correct balance yet?
Is it 22,000?
Did you divide by 31 yet?
Oh, 31.
Well, in the example, it was divided by 12 because there were 12 numbers. Here we have 31 numbers. No. You guys, this needs to make sense. Think about this. I want you to think about this. If you have a credit card, listen up. If you have a credit card and your balance is $8,200 at the beginning of the month, right? You pay it down to, $78.90. You make some purchases. Your final balance is $95.20.92. Your average daily balance needs to be somewhere between these two numbers.
8,061.75. 76.
Is that what you guys got?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, it should be. And here's what work should look like. 6 days at 82.40, plus 8 days at 78.90, plus 2 days at 92.95, plus 13 days at 93.40.20, plus 2 more days at 95.20.92. All of that gets divided by 31, and yes, 87.61.76 is the average daily balance. Okay? So as you know, or maybe not, this is not the payment necessary to be in good standing with your credit card. In fact, your credit card company would love if you just pay the minimum payment because you're going to keep accumulating interest that you owe. And so if you just keep paying the minimum payment every month, you're going to end up paying, maybe $16,000 on an $8,000 balance, which is what they would like. But here's how they would do it. So they say the monthly interest rate, back here, the monthly interest rate is 1.6%. Okay? So if we're trying to calculate the interest, we still use interest equals PRT, but for our principal, right here is the average daily balance. So that value that we just got, 87.61.76, that's what we consider our P value. Our rate is 1.6%, so that's 0.016. And since this is a monthly percentage, over here for time, we put the number of months that we're paying interest for. This is just going to be 1. It's always going to be 1 for these problems because we're only looking at interest for this first month. Okay? So, to find the balance due, you're going to take final balance plus interest. So we're going to take, let me switch colors.
Wait, why would it be 0.061?
0.016 because the rate they said was 1.6% every month. Okay? So we take the final balance. Final balance is where my credit card landed at the end of the month, which is $95.20.92 plus the interest. Let's figure that out. I forgot to write it down. So if you actually multiply this out, how much interest are we going to get charged? Okay? So, here's how this credit card works. Add these two up. Now you owe $96.61.11.
Yeah.
If I did that right. Okay. So you start with a beginning balance. You end with $95.20.92. You get charged a little bit of interest because you have a balance that rolled over and it's changing day to day. And so now you have two options. If you can pay off this in full, then you're done with the credit card and you're good. A lot of people, and this is how they get into trouble, can't pay this off in full. So what they'll do is pay the minimum payment. And that's what we're going to calculate now. For Part D, it says the minimum monthly payment is 1/36 of the balance due at the end of the month, rounded up to the nearest whole dollar. And it says you have to pay at least $10. So whichever is bigger. For example, if your balance was $13 at the end of the month, you're not going to do all that stuff. The minimum payment is going to be $10. Okay? But let's figure out what our minimum payment is going to be here. So we have 1/36 times the balance due, which is 9661.11. And so what is that? $268.36, but we're always going to round up. Remember, we're making a payment, so $269. It's $268.36, but we always round up when we're making a payment. Okay. Any questions on that?